two ways to make a code-compliant pigtail. For good reason, it is against code to connect two wires to one screw post on a receptacle or wall switch. Whether you're pigtailing an outlet or connecting multiple fixtures to a wall switch, the code-approved solution is to use a pigtail. I'll show you in detail how to do that with both wire nuts and Wago-style connectors, and what to be mindful of at every step. For the sake of our example, we'll take this through-wired outlet and we'll change it into a pigtail wired to one screw post. Taking your green-handled Robertson, let's remove the wires. I want to show you this specifically because there's an issue that comes up from this. Next, we need to grab a third wire and cut it at least 6 inches long or 15 centimeters long. We'll strip both ends at 19 millimeters or 3/4 of an inch. And what we're going to do is to take our original wires and this third pigtail and connect them together. Now, it's not enough to just straighten these out and try to connect them. What we need to do, rather than do that, because when we straighten them, there's some fatigue in them now, they're not reliable. So you cut them off and start right from scratch. And so we'll cut those at 3/4 of an inch or 19 millimeters. I'll do that with both of those. So now we've got our two original wires stripped and we've got our pigtail stripped. So what we're going to do now is put all three of those ends together, match them evenly at the insulation, take our linesman pliers, grabbing them at the end. Now twist them together clockwise. So you can see we've got a good mechanical connection there, but the end's a little jagged and rough. So what you want to do is, again, take your linesman's pliers, just cut that end off. Now that we're ready to add the Marrette or the wire nut, first make sure that you're using the proper one. So if you look on your package, it should say, in this one, for example, maximum 3 12 gauge wires. We're using 3 14 gauge wires, so we're good. Just as we wound the wires clockwise, we're going to do the same with the wire nut. Wind that clockwise, and you can see that once it starts to grab, it's going to start to twist the wires along with it, and that's just fine. That gives us a little bit of extra security that it won't get tugged out when it's in the box. Once that's done, give each wire individually a tug just to make sure it's in there secure. Now we'll grab the pigtail, which is here, and looks a little bit long. You want to make sure that that's 19 mils only, because we don't want it to be too long. I have a video about that. Now we need to make a J-hook on the end of this. You can do that with needle nose pliers or with your wire strippers. You should have a little hole in there. And so then we're just going to put it right to the end and then twist it around about 180 degrees. Should look about like that. Now we're going to put that from left to right. Black wire will go to the copper. If you had a white wire would go to the silver screw. The bonding wire would go to the green. Now screw that down with your Robertson. And once it makes contact, proper tightening, once you can feel the screw post pressing against the back plate, pinching the wire, and give it about another 1/4 to 1/2 turn. And what you want to check once you're done, make sure that everything's code, that the wire is on that screw going clockwise, that the insulation doesn't come out past the back of the outlet, that the insulation also is not trapped underneath the screw, black to brass, white to silver, green to ground. Now the same process would go for the white wires and the grounding wires, and it's the exact same procedure in the case of a wall switch. Now let's look at the same thing with the Wago style connector. So first things first, make sure you're using the correct one for your wire gauge. And we can see here on the side gauge 24 to 12. We're using 14 gauge, so that's good. And then if we check the other side, there's a strip gauge here, which is 11 millimeters. That indicates how far you're going to strip the insulation off your wire. Let's swap this out. A few issues will come up because we're reusing the wires. We'll address those because you might have some of the same issues. Now I'm removing the pigtail because I'm going to need to start right from scratch. My pigtail will no longer be long enough to be code. When I remove these wires, even if I can reuse this on my outlet, I need to have a straight wire here, so I would need to cut it, which means that I'm now no longer code length of 6 inches or 15 centimeters. So I can't reuse that pigtail. I need to cut a new one from scratch. So again, minimum 6 inches. Now on the pigtail, one end is going to go into the Wago, so that's going to be 11 millimeters. And I'll double check that on my gauge. It's good. And the other end, which will be the J-hook on my outlet, that one will be 3/4 of an inch or 19 millimeters. So we make the J-hook again. And now my line in, load out as well. I need those to be straight, so I need to cut those off and strip them according to length for the Wago. Now that will depend on which Wago you're using. We're using a 221, but if you have a different connector, you might need to strip to a different length, so check that with the Wago instructions. So now I have my 2 and my pigtail all trimmed to 11 millimeters on one end. And let's look at how these go into the connector. Flip these tabs all the way back, and then we insert this until it goes all the way to the back plate. You can see if we've cut it to proper length, then the stripped part comes just behind our conductor plate here, and the insulation is inside, so we have no bare wire out the back. Once you make sure that's all correct, then we'll close this all the way and give it a little tug to make sure, and we're all set. Add in the other 2 wires. Double check the back. It all looks good. Insulation inside. Bare copper behind our conduction plate. We're all the way to the end. Give them each a tug. Good to go. Secure. And this has flipped up. Double check that. Double check. Also, when you put them in the box, double check that. That's the one weakness with these. Make sure that these are secured always. And that just leaves us to connect our pigtail. Now, my pigtail is actually going the wrong way, counterclockwise. So I'm just going to bring that up, spin it around, reclamp it. Feed that under the screw. Tighten it down clockwise. It feeds clockwise on the J-hook. Once it makes contact, about another half turn. Double checking we're code. Insulation is not past the body of the outlet. Insulation is not under the screw. We have the J-hook winding clockwise, black to brass. The last thing is to make sure unused screw posts are tightened down. And there you have 2 ways to make a code-compliant pigtail. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, comment, and ring that bell. Check out this video. Thanks for watching.